Welcome to this deep dive, and we're going to unpack a pretty unsettling phenomenon,
Yeah.
those Black Widow murders.
Yeah, great.
You know those cases where somebody uses deception often in like romantic relationships to exploit their victims, and it ultimately leads to murder, and typically it's for financial gain.
Oh, yeah.
We've got two cases lined up that are going to highlight just how chillingly calculated these crimes can be.
Yeah.
So first, we're going to delve into the story of Helen Golay and Olga Ritterschmidt, who orchestrated a hit-and-run scheme
Ow.
to collect life insurance.
Oh, geez.
And then we're going to head over to the UK, and we're going to examine the case of Dina Thompson, who used Lonely Hearts columns to prey on unsuspecting men.
I think what's really captivating about these cases and Black Widow cases in general is this stark contrast between the outward appearance of the perpetrator and the ruthlessness of their actions.
Right.
It really makes you question how well you can ever truly know someone.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so let's start with Helen Golay and Olga Ritterschmidt.
Okay.
This one starts in Hollywood. Back in 1999, with the discovery of 73-year-old Paul Vados's body in an alley.
Oh, wow.
At first glance, it looked like a tragic hit-and-run accident.
Right.
You know, a sad but all too common occurrence in a busy city.
Happens all the time.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
It turns out Vados was insured for millions.
Okay.
And the beneficiaries were two seemingly harmless elderly women,
What?
Golay and Ritterschmidt.
Oh, my gosh. So you might be thinking, okay, maybe it's a coincidence,
Right.
a distant relative or something.
Yeah.
But that's not the case here.
No.
These women had been meticulously planning this for years.
Wow.
They started taking out policies on Vados 2 years before his death. They were patiently weaving this web of deceit, waiting for the right moment to strike.
It's crazy.
This wasn't a crime of passion. This was cold, calculated, and premeditated.
The level of premeditation here is truly remarkable. You know, I was reading an article that you shared that mentioned a psychological study on criminal profiling.
Oh, yeah.
Does this kind of long-term planning point to a specific type of offender?
That's a great question. The study actually suggested that offenders who engage in this kind of meticulous planning often exhibit traits associated with antisocial personality disorder.
Okay.
They're often very manipulative.
Right.
They lack empathy, and they're driven by a sense of entitlement and a need for control.
Yeah.
They see people as pawns in their game, disposable once they've served their purpose.
It's disturbing to think that someone could view another human life as nothing more than a means to an end.
It is.
But wait, there's another layer to this story that's even more unsettling.
Okay.
5 years later, in 2005, another man, Kenneth McDavid, is found dead.
Oh, no.
Also seemingly the victim of a hit and run.
Wow.
And you guessed it.
Oh, no.
Golay and Ritterschmidt had insured him too.
They did.
This time for a staggering $3.7 million. It seems their greed was growing with each victim.
It's a classic escalation scenario.
Right.
The first success emboldens them.
Right.
It feeds their sense of power and control.
Right.
They begin to believe that they're untouchable.
Oh, yeah.
And their crimes become increasingly brazen.
Yeah.
And what's particularly chilling in this case is the way they assumed various identities on the insurance applications.
Right.
Sometimes they posed as McDavid's fiancée, other times his cousin, even his business partner.
That's crazy.
They were like chameleons blending into the background, manipulating everyone around them.
It's almost like something out of a movie, but with real-life consequences.
Oh, yeah.
This case really makes you wonder about the hidden lives people lead. Behind their facade, they were masterminds of a horrific plan.
Yeah.
And this brings us to the concept of the banality of evil, something you highlighted in your source material. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the term banality of evil was coined by Hannah Arendt,
Okay.
a political philosopher who covered the trial of Adolf Eichmann, who was a Nazi official responsible for the deportation of millions of Jews to concentration camps. And Arendt was struck by Eichmann's ordinariness.
Okay.
He wasn't a raving lunatic.
Right.
He was a bureaucrat, a cog in the machine.
Okay.
And that's what's so unsettling about this concept. The idea that evil can manifest in the most mundane and unexpected ways.
Right.
Golay and Ritterschmidt weren't criminal masterminds in the traditional sense. They were two elderly women
Right.
who used their perceived harmlessness to mask their sinister intentions.
Yeah. And that's a really scary thought, isn't it?
It is.
That evil can lurk right under our noses, disguised as something completely innocuous.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned that they almost had a third victim,
Right.
Jimmy Covington.
Yeah, what happened there?
What happened there?
Right. So Jimmy Covington, he was approached by the women who were offering him a place to stay and financial assistance.
Okay.
But luckily, he became suspicious when they started asking for personal information
Oh, wow.
and managed to extricate himself from the situation.
What a close call. It's stories like this that really highlight the importance of being cautious and aware of potential manipulation.
Yeah.
Not everyone has good intentions.
No.
Trusting your gut instinct can be a powerful tool in protecting yourself.
Yeah.
But in this case, Golay and Rutterschmidt's luck was about to run out.
Okay.
Their elaborate scheme started to unravel during their trial when secretly recorded jailhouse conversations between them were played for the jury.
Oh, wow.
And in one of these conversations, Rutterschmidt is heard scolding Golay, saying, "You did all these insurances extra. That's what raised the suspicion. You can't do that stupidity. You're going to go to jail, honey. They're going to lock you up."
Oh my gosh, that recording was like a bombshell.
Yeah.
It provided undeniable proof of their guilt and their callous disregard for human life.
Right.
They weren't grieving friends or concerned relatives.
Yeah.
They were cold-hearted criminals who had been caught red-handed.
The prosecutor in the case made a chillingly apt comparison,
Yeah.
describing it as arsenic and old lace, but without Cary Grant.
Oh.
It really captures that unexpected darkness we were just talking about.
Yeah.
So in 2008, both Golay and Rutterschmidt were convicted.
Right.
They were found guilty of conspiracy to murder both Vados and McDavid, as well as the first-degree murder of Vados.
Wow.
Golay was also found guilty of the first-degree murder of McDavid.
Right.
And their carefully constructed facade had crumbled, revealing the truly horrific nature of their crimes.
And their sentences reflected the gravity of their actions.
Uh-huh.
Both women received consecutive life terms in prison without the possibility of parole.
Wow, that's a heavy thought. Okay, so we've seen how Golay and Rutterschmidt use meticulous planning and manipulation to carry out their crimes.
Right.
But now let's shift gears
Okay.
and head over to the UK to delve into the equally disturbing case of Dina Thompson,
Right.
who earned the chilling nickname the Black Widow.
Oh, wow.
This woman used Lonely Hearts columns to target men,
Okay.
not just for financial gain,
Uh-huh.
but sometimes resorting to physical harm as well.
Okay.
One detective even described her as every man's nightmare.
Wow.
It's a stark reminder that manipulation and violence can take many forms.
And her story highlights a different but equally sinister aspect of Black Widow crimes.
Right.
The exploitation of vulnerability and loneliness for personal gain.
Her first marriage to Lee Wyatt gives us a glimpse into her manipulative tactics.
Okay.
Thompson convinced Wyatt that he was a millionaire who was being targeted by the mafia,
What?
forcing him into hiding while she systematically emptied his bank accounts.
Oh, my God.
It's a classic case of gaslighting.
Yeah.
Manipulating someone into questioning their own reality.
Yeah.
It's a level of psychological manipulation that's incredibly difficult to escape.
It is.
What's fascinating about Thompson's case is that it wasn't just about financial gain. There seems to have been a sadistic element to her crimes as well.
Right.
Take her second husband, Julian Webb.
Right.
He was found dead on his birthday.
Oh, my God.
And initially, the inquest recorded an open verdict. It was later discovered that Thompson had poisoned his birthday curry with a lethal dose of antidepressants.
Oh, wow.
It's almost unbelievable that someone would do that to their spouse, their partner.
Right.
But her attempt to have Webb's body cremated immediately after his death raised red flags for investigators.
Yeah.
It's almost as if she was trying to erase any evidence of her crime.
That's something we see often in these cases, a desire to make the victim disappear completely.
Sadly, Julian Webb wasn't her last victim. Her third husband, Richard Thompson, would also experience her dark side firsthand.
Oh, no.
But we'll delve into that in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Stay tuned as we continue to unpack the chilling case of Dina Thompson and the truly disturbing depths of her crimes.
I can't wait.
All right, see you next time.
Sounds good.
Welcome back. So before we get into the shocking details of what happened to Dina Thompson's third husband, I want to rewind just a bit.
Okay.
You'll remember that Thompson's second husband, Julian Webb, died under very suspicious circumstances, but the initial inquest couldn't pinpoint the cause of death.
Right.
However, after Thompson was arrested for attacking her third husband, the police decided to take a closer look at Webb's case
Oh, wow.
and exhumed his body.
Oh, jeez.
And what they found was truly horrifying.
Yeah, the exhumation revealed traces of antidepressants and ground aspirin in Webb's system.
Wow.
This was the crucial evidence that linked Dina Thompson directly to his death.
Right.
It confirmed those suspicions that had been swirling around her.
Right. And remember how she tried to rush his cremation immediately after his death.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's like she was desperately trying to cover her tracks.
It makes you wonder how many other potential victims might be out there.
The fact that she tried to have his body cremated so quickly is incredibly disturbing. It really speaks to her calculated nature
Right.
and her attempts to literally erase any trace of her involvement in his death.
Yeah.
It's like something out of a crime novel.
It-
But thankfully, the authorities weren't fooled, and forensic science provided the undeniable proof they needed to bring her to justice.
It's a testament to the power of forensic science, even years after a crime has been committed.
Right.
It reminds us that even the most cunning attempts at concealment can eventually be exposed.
Okay, so now let's talk about Richard Thompson, the third husband, who narrowly escaped becoming another victim.
Okay.
It's a truly harrowing story of betrayal and violence.
Richard Thompson's experience really sheds light on Dina Thompson's capacity for cruelty
Right.
and her willingness to use violence to achieve her aims.
Right.
It wasn't enough for her to simply deceive and manipulate.
Yeah.
She was prepared to inflict physical harm on those who stood in her way.
Richard's account of what happened that night is chilling.
Uh-huh.
He described how Dina tied him up for what he believed was going to be a sexual game.
Oh my gosh.
Then, completely out of the blue, she started attacking him with a baseball bat.
Oh, wow.
The level of betrayal is just staggering. Can you imagine the terror he must have felt?
Right.
Someone you love, someone you trust suddenly turning on you in such a violent and unexpected way.
The fact that she used a seemingly intimate and playful situation as a cover for her attack
Right.
is particularly disturbing. It speaks to her manipulative nature
Right.
and her ability to use deception to disarm her victims.
And what's even more shocking is that after the attack, as Richard lay there, injured and bleeding, Dina uttered a truly chilling confession.
What'd she say?
It's all been a lie. I've spent all your money.
Oh my gosh.
It wasn't just a violent attack. It was a complete betrayal of his trust and his love.
It's like she was adding insult to injury.
That confession was a critical piece of evidence in the case.
Right.
It exposed her true motivations, greed, and a complete disregard for the well-being of her husband.
So with all this evidence stacked against her, you might think it would be an open and shut case.
Right.
But things weren't quite that simple.
Now, remember, Dina Thompson was acquitted of the attempted murder of Richard?
She was.
She claimed self-defense, and the jury believed her. But thankfully, the police were already suspicious about the death of her second husband, Julian Webb,
Right.
and had exhumed his body.
Uh-huh.
The results of that exhumation would change everything.
Yes. The discovery of the drugs in Webb's system was a game changer.
Yeah.
It provided the evidence needed to finally hold Thompson accountable for her crimes.
Right.
She was ultimately convicted of Julian Webb's murder and sentenced to life in prison.
Wow.
She was also found guilty of numerous fraud charges, which just goes to show the extent of her manipulative and criminal behavior.
It's a bit of a roller coaster, isn't it? You think she's going to get away with it, and then the truth comes out in such a dramatic way.
Yeah,
It's like watching a true crime documentary unfold in real time.
it is.
It's fascinating and horrifying all at the same time. But the story doesn't end there. The police suspected that there might be even more victims out there.
Right.
After her conviction, they launched an investigation into the disappearance of one of her former partners from Bulgaria.
Oh, wow.
Sadly, he's never been found.
It's a chilling reminder that there are often hidden victims in these cases.
Right.
People who vanished without a trace, their stories untold.
Right.
And it makes you wonder if Dina Thompson's reign of terror might have extended far beyond the cases we know about.
It's a truly disturbing thought, and it highlights something we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
This idea that evil can wear many faces.
Right.
Helen Golay and Olga Rutterschmidt were elderly women who blended into the background,
Right.
while Dina Thompson was charming and charismatic,
Mhm.
able to win the trust of numerous men. They were, in a sense, wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
I think it's something that a lot of people can relate to, this feeling of being deceived by someone you thought you knew.
Yeah.
It's a universal fear, isn't it, to be betrayed by someone you trusted?
Absolutely. And that fear is often amplified in romantic relationships where vulnerability and emotional intimacy can create a powerful dynamic that's ripe for exploitation.
Right.
That's why these Black Widow stories resonate so deeply with people.
Right.
They tap into our deepest fears about love, trust, and betrayal.
You know, as we've been discussing these cases, I keep thinking about why we're so fascinated by stories like this.
Yeah.
Why do we gravitate towards true crime, towards tales of deception and betrayal? Is it because we're trying to understand the darkness that exists in the world, or is it something deeper,
Yeah.
way to confront our own vulnerabilities?
That's a great question, and I think there are many layers to it.
Yeah.
On one level, it's about satisfying our curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
our desire to understand how and why people commit such horrific acts.
Right.
We want to unravel the mystery,
Yeah.
to piece together the puzzle.
Yeah.
But I think it also goes deeper than that. These stories serve as a kind of cautionary tale,
Okay.
reminding us that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places.
Yeah.
They encourage us to be more discerning,
Right.
to question our assumptions,
Uh-huh.
and to trust our instincts.
It's like a reminder to be vigilant, not in a paranoid way, but in a way that empowers us to protect ourselves and those we care about.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing patterns of manipulation, understanding the tactics that predators use, and being prepared to walk away from situations that feel unsafe.
I completely agree. These stories aren't meant to make us fearful or distrustful of everyone we meet.
Right.
They're meant to empower us with knowledge to help us navigate the complexities of human relationships with awareness and discernment.
Exactly. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Huh.
We've explored the dark side of human nature, but it's important to remember that there's also immense good in the world.
Absolutely.
For every Black widow, there are countless individuals who embody compassion, empathy, and kindness.
Yeah.
Let's focus on cultivating those qualities within ourselves and building relationships based on trust, respect, and genuine connection.
That's a beautifully optimistic note to end on.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that while we should be aware of the potential for darkness, we should never lose sight of the light that exists within us and around us.
Thank you for joining us on this chilling but thought-provoking deep dive. If you're interested in learning more about these cases, there are numerous documentaries and books available on both Dina Thompson and the Goli Ritterschmidt case. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay safe. It's been a pretty intense deep dive so far. You know, we've really gotten into this dark world of Black Widow murders.
Right.
Looking at the cases of Helen Golay and Olga Ritterschmidt and Dina Thompson.
Right.
These women used manipulation, deceit, and even violence to take advantage of others,
Yeah.
often with really tragic consequences.
It is really sad.
It's easy to get caught up in the shocking details of these cases.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to step back and look at the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
What can we learn from these stories?
Right.
And how can we apply those lessons to our own lives?
I think that's a crucial question.
Yeah.
You know, these cases, as extreme as they are, offer a glimpse into the darker side of human nature.
Right.
This capacity for greed, manipulation, and violence that I think we all possess to some degree.
It's like looking into a distorted mirror.
Right.
We see reflections of ourselves, but they're twisted and exaggerated.
Yeah.
And it's this reminder that even the most ordinary seeming individuals can be capable of extraordinary acts of cruelty.
Exactly. And that's perhaps why these stories resonate so deeply with us.
Right.
They force us to confront these uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world around us.
Yeah.
They challenge our assumptions about good and evil, reminding us that the line between the two can be blurry and that appearances can be deceiving.
It's a sobering thought.
It is.
But it's also like an invitation to be more discerning, to cultivate our critical thinking skills,
Right.
and to be wary of those who might prey on our vulnerabilities and our trust.
Yeah.
These cases really highlight the importance of being aware of the red flags, trusting our instincts,
Yeah.
and setting boundaries in all of our relationships, not just romantic ones.
Absolutely. You know, in one of the articles you sent me, there was a quote from a forensic psychologist who said, "We tend to project our own values and beliefs onto others, assuming that they share our moral compass, but that's a dangerous assumption to make.
Oh, absolutely.
We need to be willing to question our assumptions,
Yeah.
to look beyond the surface, and to be honest with ourselves about the potential for darkness
Right.
that exists within everyone."
That's such a powerful statement.
Yeah.
It really underscores the importance of being vigilant, not in a paranoid way, but in a way that empowers us to protect ourselves and those we care about.
Absolutely.
It's about recognizing patterns of manipulation, understanding the tactics that predators use, and being prepared to walk away from situations that feel unsafe.
I completely agree. You know, these stories aren't meant to make us fearful or distrustful of everyone we meet.
Right.
They're meant to empower us with knowledge to help us navigate the complexities of human relationships with awareness and discernment.
Exactly. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Black Widow murders, I want to leave you with this thought. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
The more we understand about the darker side of human nature, the better equipped we are to protect ourselves
Right.
and create a world where hopefully these kinds of crimes become less frequent.
Yeah.
And remember, we've explored the shadows in this deep dive, but there's also immense light and goodness in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Let's focus on fostering those qualities within ourselves and in our relationships and building a brighter future for everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Sounds good.